Hi, my name is Dave Johansson and I'm here with Blossom Hill Crafts. This is a second part of a two-part video on making goblets. Last one talked about throwing the form, and now we're going to put them together and trim them up. In the last video I used this template to make my cups. I'm going to put this exact template available as a download, so just click the link below and you'll be able to get to this, and you can have this exact template if you'd like. So I trimmed this up just a little bit before the video. I didn't want to bore you with that. I didn't take much clay off. You pretty much want to trim this together. And I rounded the inside of this stem just a little bit before starting the video. The way I attached the stem to the wheel head, there's no bat, is I just squeezed a little water onto the wheel head and centered my stem up and kind of moved it around, and which you get the suction effect holding it down. So I've got my stem attached and I've got my cup right here. The first thing I want to do is take my needle tool or whatever you like to do to score. And nobody's ever going to see what this looks like, so make it mean and nasty and messy, because that's what makes things stick good, is lots of surface area for adhesion. So I'm doing that, and the same thing down here. Nobody's ever going to see this part of this vessel, so I just kind of, scratch it up all nice and good. And what I try to do is save some of the slip from when I was throwing, and since I was throwing in this wheel with the same clay here, I can just take a little bit of that slip and put it in there. But I do suggest when you throw these, just save a little bit of the slip so that you have the exact same slip from the same clay, and it'll keep your colors real nice. So I've got everything all slipped up, and I'm going to just kind of set this on there, and I've got to get it centered, and we're not going to get perfection here. It's not going to happen. So don't get too far into it, but that actually I think is not bad, remembering that everything is going to get trimmed up. So I'm now going to get rid of my chair, and I like to be able to look at this at eye level. If getting down to the floor is harder for you, we have some older students. We do have a standing wheel in the studio that you might find helpful. Feel free to use it. It's great for trimming items like this. It's great for throwing too. So again, I'm not going to worry about being perfect. This clay is too dry on me, so I can't really fudge it around right now. You want the clay to be firm, but not as dry as I have it here. There we go. We're going to call that good enough for our purpose here. I'm going to take my trimming tool, just a standard little trimming tool, and I'm operating the pedal with my hand here. And I'm just going to start trimming away this cup here. And there we go. I'm just kind of told you I left a lot of clay on there. I want to be able to get a nice fit. I want them to sort of fit together. Now when I'm doing this, I don't want to push too hard, because if I push too hard, I can my base can give loose and then I start getting off center. But I'm just going to keep trimming this up until I kind of get these two things sort of going together. Alright, so I've got that tool. I've got this nifty little trimming tool. It's just a little one. You can buy these at Clay Planet or whatever distributing store you want to use, or you can just find yourself a short little stick that's real sharp and use that. But I'm going to go, the line here where my stem and my cup attach, I'm going to go just below it and trim myself in a little groove. As you can see that I've done there. I'm going to come back with my trimming tool now. And I'm going to start making the 2-1 here. I'm going to start trimming them so they look like they're part of the same thing. Come back and maybe do that just a little bit more. See what I meant by we're going to trim away a lot of clay here. These are kind of tedious and time consuming. Um, you just got to get that in there looking real nice. So what's happening is actually the bottom of my cup is becoming part of the stem. You see how that's working there? And there we go. So I've kind of got those two parts working together. Now I'm going to come down just below, and I left, you know, a little bit of space between, but not too much, and I'm just coming in and cutting in another ring. And this one is going to come on down and notice how I'm using my left hand to steady everything and make sure I don't lose it. With my right hand, there we go. I'm now going to take the flat part of my trim tool and just go right down to the bottom, and I use the width of as the trim tool as a guide so I can get every goblet the same. And I'm going to just start. This clay is very dry, so it's taking a long time. Again, you want your clay firm, but this is a little bit too firm. So I've kind of put in a nice mark in there for myself. And now, without losing my distinction, I'm just going to begin to trim up. And we'll come up into here somewhere. Now you can start to see why I left myself a lot of clay when I was throwing. I wasn't trying to be a superstar thin thrower of any kind there, right? Now you can start to see I want the general shape to be moving up. Come in there and trim. You can trim up, you can trim down. I can come back in with this little tool in here now. And just kind of keep going up and away. Hey, Ray, I think you can kind of see what's happening here. I don't know that I need to do any more to kind of give you the idea of how to go about trimming it. But I'm basically using the tools themselves as guides for spacing so that I can get everything the same. And oftentimes you'll have to wire these off. Actually, what I usually use is a little metal rib, but I didn't have one with me here right now. But they'll just kind of pop right off. But you'll notice that it had a little bit of a wobble. Definitely this should be trimmed up a little bit more, but it had a little bit of a wobble when I was throwing it. But once you take it off the wheel, you don't see that wobble. So I think that, you know, perfection is maybe a little bit of an enemy when it comes to that. But there you go. That's the basics of attaching and trimming your goblet. Thanks again. I'm Dave Johansson, and this is Blossom Hill Crafts.